first one is actually not a commandment. The first one is a statement. 10 statements, not 10 commandments. There are really only 9 commandments. I state, the first one, number 1, is an introduction. Before you listen to me, you should know who I am. Remember me? I took you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. This is fascinating. And I want to make it kind of from the very beginning so we will all be on the same wavelength. The Torah is a tiny book. 5 books of Moses, that's what we call the Torah. There's a lot of important information there. So the Torah does not waste space. Now, if having said that, now you explain to me, why does he give me 2 pieces of information there? I'm the one who took you out of Egypt, the land of slavery. Don't I know what Egypt was? Do you understand? Are you with me? I'm going with you deeper. I want you to pay attention to every word. If you want to be sensitive to the Jews, don't call it the Old Testament, because it's an insult, a little bit. It's kind of saying new is better, right? New is improved. Either you can say the Hebrew Bible or the Tanakh. You saw many of your leaders call it Tanakh. Tanakh is the Hebrew proper word for our Bible. Anyway, so the Christians read the Bible, the Hebrew Bible, without commentaries. So you read a line like, an eye for an eye, which for thousands of years, by the way, they made fun of us. The Christian commentators would read this, look at the Jews, they're violent people. An eye for an eye? Tooth for tooth? What does it mean? If somebody plucks out your eye, my job is to take your eye? Is that what it means? Of course not. We have thousands and thousands of commentaries on every line in the Torah. What we're going to do here together is exactly what Jews have done for thousands of years. We're going to analyze every word and try to go deeper. Why does he say, I took you out of Egypt, which was slavery? We know it was slavery. We have Passover every year. I believe Americans should have Passover every year. Every American should celebrate Passover and say, my grandpa risked everything to get out of Europe to come here. Then you would appreciate America. Your children would appreciate America. The first one is a statement, not a commandment. It does not say believe in God. It says, hey, these are my credentials. I did something very important for you. Now, the next 9, you do for me. Have no other gods and do not create images. It's together. In Judaism, it's together. Which means, basically, idolatry. I did this for you. Please, do not worship anybody else. So let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen. How many people in America, in Dallas right now as we speak, practice idolatry? We worship not some rocks. That's ridiculous. We worship nice things. There is nothing wrong with money. There is nothing wrong with sports. There is nothing wrong with beauty. What's the problem? When this becomes a god. When this becomes more important than anything. If you work most of your life, you're worshiping material things. If you stress constantly to your children grades, you are worshiping education. Even health can become avodah zarah, idol worship. Idolatry is not some ridiculous thing that our ancestors were worshiping. Right now, as we speak, all of us are practicing idolatry. And the challenge is to really struggle with this. Translations are always a problem. Most people will say, don't take the name of God in vain. That's a bad translation. How do we say this in Hebrew? Don't carry the name. That's a big difference. Don't carry the name in vain. You carry the name by, when you walk through life, people are watching your behavior. You represent God. Especially if you belong to a church. Especially if you belong to a synagogue. Especially if you say, I'm a believer. I'm a Christian. I'm a Jew. People are watching you. Don't you know that? It's true. People saying, these Christians, they're so hypocritical. They go to church and then look what they're doing right after church, right? People have said this throughout history. And Jews, we know that better than anything. We get it with the milk of mother's milk. You carry my name, he says. Watch out. People are going to judge me by your behavior. Don't do despicable things. And you know better than I that Christians for many centuries abused that commandment. They came with a knife to people. Do you accept Jesus? Otherwise you'll die. That's not what God wants. This is not love. So he says, watch out. There is something that is different about number 3 than it does not appear number 5, number 7. Anybody knows? What is strange about number 3? I will not forgive you. That's amazing. I may forgive you for murder, but I will never forgive you for carrying my name in vain, because he understands. I have a job in this world. I want people to accept me. And if you people are not good messengers, people will not trust me. I need you to carry my name for the right purposes. When you say, I'm religious, you better be a nice person. You better be honest in business. Because people will say, oh, look at this. Goes to church, but he cheats his customers. Forget it. I will not go to church. That's it. His job is done. He doesn't have a chance. That's number 3. Remember, it says. In Exodus, by the way, you know that we have 2 versions. Exodus, and then we have it later. But in Exodus, it says Zachor, remember. Make it holy. Let's talk about this. What does it mean? Is going to a basketball game, making it holy. It's a very difficult concept, holy. How do you make a day holy? Give me another word. You're talking to a kid who does not know that word. Give me another word, holy. Set aside. Set aside. What else? Make it different. Make it special. Sacred. Your husband has an important birthday. You don't want it to be this routine. So how dare you make Sabbath exactly like Tuesday? That's what he says. It's a special day. I want you to make it different. He does not go into details. The details come much later. We have other holy books that describe what it means. But make it special. And here I will be blunt with you. You don't observe the Shabbat, but supposedly you observe Sunday. Ask yourselves if your Sunday is really special. Whatever it is, but make it unique. Make it different from Tuesday. If you come from church and you watch football, it's not holy. Anything that you do once a year is not going to stick. You can go to the most spiritual retreat in the world and spend 3 days of lecturing and studying the Bible. It's not going to work, as opposed to twice a week sitting and opening that book, right? Anything in life, Shabbat is considered more important than Yom Kippur. If you're going to do something every week, it's going to affect your life. There is no question about this. Make Shabbat. I mean, it's wonderful. Can you imagine? America would be a different country, I promise you. If one Friday night, every American would say, you know what? We're turning off the TV tonight. We're not going to drive to a party or to a bar tonight. We're going to sit down and have a beautiful dinner with our children and grandchildren. You tell me, America is going to turn upside down. If one Shabbat, by the way, it's interesting, the Talmud says that if all Jews in the world would celebrate 2 Shabbatot, 2 weeks in a row, real Shabbat, the Mashiach is going to come. The Messiah will come. Can you imagine? If only Jews would celebrate Shabbat. Honor your parents. Now, first of all, it says, honor your father and your mother. In the second version, in Deuteronomy, it says, honor your... No, in Deuteronomy it also says honor, but there is another one in Leviticus chapter 19. It says, not be fearful, but be in awe of your mother and your father. So that's just to put aside the whole issue of feminism. How come father comes first and mother comes next and so on. Just want you to know that there is another verse. It's a little bit different, not honor, but that mother comes first. But let's set it aside. I do want to focus on the verb here. What does God want us to do towards mama? Honor, not to love. Why not? Why not? Doesn't God know the word love? Of course He does. We're supposed to love whom? God, neighbor, stranger, but not mama. Why not? Love is feelings. We have to be careful with feelings. Emotions come and go. Every psychologist will tell you, emotions are not good, they're not bad. They just are. You cannot control emotions. This is very interesting. Some of you, it may be rubbing you the wrong way, because Christianity is much more into emotions and feelings. Judaism is very nervous about emotions. Judaism says, you know what? You cannot force emotions. By the way, love your neighbors yourself is mistranslated. It's very hard for me to really translate it to you, but if you know Hebrew, you will know. It's the proper translation should be loving towards your neighbor. That's a big difference. But that's for another lecture. We'll talk about that. It's be loving towards your neighbor. Big difference. So here is a very interesting thing. Honor your father and your mother. Because, you know, today you love, tomorrow you don't love, you get angry, you say, I hate you, I don't want to see you, you walk out, you slam the door. Emotions are very volatile. What the Torah is more concerned with is behavior. Honor is a big difference from love. Because very often people say, well, you know I love you. And you know what the Torah is saying? I don't know if you love me, but the way you behave is not a loving way. Do you understand? And by the way, this could be translated into spousal relationships. Very often, husbands and wives do horrible things to each other. And then they say, but he knows I love him. Excuse me, how does he know that? Saying I love you is not enough. It's how you treat me that I'm much more concerned with. Don't love me, but don't hurt me. Don't treat me this way. So honoring your parents may be the most difficult. There is a beautiful and complicated discussion in the Talmud, the second most important piece of legal literature in Judaism, about this mitzvah, this law. And there are rabbis who say it's impossible to fulfill it. And there is a discussion between rabbis who really fulfilled this commandment. And they mentioned one rabbi whose mother became a little bit, Alzheimer's or whatever it was. And she became, how should I put it? She was attracted to him. Imagine. What do you do? How do you honor your mother who is trying to seduce you, God forbid? There's a discussion in the Talmud about this. He ends up running away to Babylonia, and she dies. And now he feels guilty for the rest of his life. It's in the Talmud. You see, we have to be careful that even a beautiful commandment like this could become avodah zarah, idol worship. So there are rabbis in the Talmud who say it's the most difficult mitzvah, because how far do you go? It becomes very complicated issue when your parents are divorced and this one says, I want you to come visit me, and this one says, no, you stay with me. And what do? There are fascinating discussions. What do you do with in-laws? And by the way, there is also, God forbid, a situation, and you may want to struggle with this. Other limitations, other situations in life when you're not obligated to honor your parents. Can you think of a situation where you do not have that obligation? I think we all can think of a couple of situations. I want to focus on another issue though. Is there an order to the commandments? Is there a system? How come this is number 3? And how come this is number 5? And this is number 7, and so on? Now the first one makes sense, right? We spoke about this. He gives his credentials to us. But why is this one 3 and 1? Anybody knows? Anybody wants to try? We did not go through all of them, obviously, but you know 5. You know half of the one side. Traditional Jewish interpretation is that there is a big difference between the first tablet and the second tablet. You know, remember how it looks, right? Two tablets. The first tablet is supposed to be vertical. It's between me and the master, my creator, master of the world. The second tablet it's horizontal. It's between me and my neighbors, other human beings. Now, if this is correct, are you ready now? Number 5, parents. Which tablet should it be on? You tell me. If we just said that the first one is between me and God, how come Papa belongs the first one? No, it should be on the second one. How come it's there? Oh, correct. The fifth one has promise. That's good. That's good. What's the promise? You will have a long life, which is very logical. No. If you honor your mother, chances are your children will honor you. Our children are watching us very carefully the way we treat our parents. And they will treat us the way we treat our parents. They're watching. They're learning. But let's talk about this number 5. Why is it there? It starts at home. That's the point. It's not number 4. And it's not number 7. It's right there, transitional. Now watch. It goes both ways. But on a more practical level, I'm a kid. I want to know how to behave with Johnny. How do I learn about my co-workers? Where do I learn all of this from? I learn from my parents. So if I don't know how to honor my mother, how will I be able to fulfill the second tablet, right? On the other hand, it goes backwards also. If I don't know how to honor my parents, I will not learn how to relate to God. And there is fascinating research done by top psychologists who are telling us something profound, and some of you may get a little bit uncomfortable here emotionally. Apparently, there is a correlation. People who feel very closely to God, the relationship between our sense of spirituality. Our sense of spirituality is very much connected to our relationship to our Father. Interestingly enough, not mother. For obvious reasons. Because throughout history, because we speak many languages, in most languages it's not Hebrew. Hebrew has you in 2 ways. The way I say you to a man and the way I say you to a woman is 2 different words. But in English, we're limited, so what do we say? We say he. God, he. So as a result, the average child, when you ask children throughout the world, we ask children, make a picture of a God, of God. What do they paint usually? It's a man, it's a male. Is it young boy? Middle-aged? It's an old man with a beard and so on and so forth, which is ridiculous. Where does it come from? Who says that he's an old man? Maybe it's a young girl, 5-year-old girl. You know what I mean? But because we speak the wrong language, so to speak, we get confused. So it's interesting, the research shows that our relationship to God is very much connected to our relationship to our Father. Very interesting stuff. So is everybody with me here? It's not number 5 by coincidence. It's a very important transition. If I don't learn how to treat my parents, I will not learn how to treat other human beings. That's the fundamental, the basic relationship that affects us forever. And if you had a difficult relationship with your parents, we know. You may be an angry person for the rest of your life and treat other people in a mean way. The same is true the other way around. If you cannot obey or honor your parents, how are you going to obey or honor God? So that's, I think, what you were trying to say, but it's kind of like more specific. So that's why it's number 5. When you go to the hotel room, next time, open Exodus chapter 20, you will see many of them say, thou shalt not kill. That's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. There is no commandment, thou shalt not kill. Because that means pacifism. That means I should not have killed the sons of Saddam Hussein this week. That means that I am not allowed to kill Hitler. No. In Hebrew, there are 2 words. There is a word to kill, and there is a word to murder. And there is a big difference. So think about this, ladies and gentlemen, for thousands of years, thousands, millions of Christians are walking around believing in pacifism. Thou shalt not kill. No, absolutely not. The Bible is filled with commandments. Kill him. Life for life. Killing is important. Sometimes you have to kill. Very important. By the way, it's interesting. Thou shalt not murder, period. It doesn't say unless you're hungry, unless this. It's just murder is murder. And the same is true about the next few. Watch. What's number 7? After life, taking life. What's the second most dangerous destruction in life? What is it? Adultery. Interesting. A lot of people don't realize that adultery comes before stealing, because you destroy marriage. You destroy a commitment. You destroy a covenant. You destroy a family. You destroy trust. Adultery is right next to murder, because you're murdering a family. You're murdering trust. Once the trust is lost, it's very hard to repair it. And yet, what do all the surveys show? This is amazing. I've been in this country now 23 years, and I've seen changes. It used to be that there, what is it? What's the statistics?
There used to be more men than women.
That's right.
Now it's going the other way.
It's amazing.
It's getting very hard.
It's getting almost the same among women and men. Feminism, wow! If they can do it, we can do it. Isn't it incredible? This is where the society is going. This is the opposite of feminism. Feminism did not mean let's pick up all the ugly things from the men. Maybe the opposite. Maybe we should nurture the men a little bit. Maybe we should civilize the men. I believe that the Torah wants men to get married more than it wants women to get married. You know that? There is no commandment to get married for women. The rabbis tell us, be fruitful and multiply does not apply to women. Why not? It applies to men. Why not? You tell me. But why does it not? Why aren't you obligated to procreate, but a man is obligated? Well, first of all, for obvious reasons. It's really not up to you, right? I mean, whether we like it or not, even today with all the feminism, it's still the man who has to initiate, right? So, but secondly, I believe the rabbis are hinting in the commentaries that men, this is how it goes. Somebody put it beautifully. Women want marriage more. Men need marriage more. Yes or no? You tell me. I think even the men here will agree. If you want to civilize the man, that creature, that animal running around, you need a woman who will say, honey, come home. I will make the home so attractive that you will not want to run around. So what do women do, the feminists? They basically say, hey, they're having fun, we're going to have fun. It's catching up. And by the way, what are the numbers? Anybody knows? I don't know the recent numbers. What are we talking about? It's close to 3/4 of Americans. 3/4 of American married people are fooling around. Can you imagine? And we're wondering what's going on in this society. So those who don't feel like they're idiots. Hey, everybody's having fun. I wish more people would sit around and do this on a Monday afternoon. Study the Torah, study the Bible. All right, let's go quickly because I know we're running out of time. Where are we? We have 6, 7. We have 8, 9, 10. 3 more. And here it gets tricky. What's the next one? Stealing. That one is an easy one, except again, I want to stress for you that there is no comma there. Thou shalt not steal. It doesn't say, unless you think Uncle Sam is grabbing too much. Unless you think that Democrats impose too high of taxes. It doesn't also say, thou shalt not steal unless it's from the government. I have bad news for you. Cheating on income tax is right there. One of the 10 commandments. Because you're stealing from a democratic society that does a lot of good. Whether you agree with the government or not, whether you think there is corruption or not, or waste or not, it doesn't matter. I love paying American taxes. bear false witness. It's a little bit more than lie. It doesn't say, don't lie to your wife or husband. It actually, basically, the fundamental idea of justice. If you are a witness to a crime, you cannot say, I mind my own business.